tracing the spread of civilizations can give some insight into the question of which narrative is more accurate for the origins of human beings, the naturalists' narrative of human beings' origins in southern Africa or the biblical narrative of originating near Mount Ararat. To accomplish this test, some basic facts need to be stated. The increase of human population will lead to the creation of cities as buildings get closer together for convenience sake. The increase in the density of a city will lead to innovations as people will spend less time obtaining food and can set their efforts to the improvement of their lives. However, as the city grows, challengers will desire their innovations. Thus, those cities with the best innovations will have to fight to keep their position at the top of the heap. Only those cities that are successful at keeping their enemies at bay will develop into an empire. Premises are beliefs that are assumed to be true, without providing any support for that assumption. They are neither good nor bad. They are generally assumed to be true unless a challenger raises a concern as to their validity. Many theories and ideas will come crashing down because a premise has been successfully challenged. With this foundation, there are some premises that must be stated for this video. It is assumed that people grouping together formed the first communities. While some individuals would spread out, many would stay to form that community. In turn, these early communities would develop into cities, and then into city-states which controlled territory beyond their immediate surroundings. These city-states could then grow into a full-blown empire, controlling vast areas, sometimes thousands of miles away. However, all civilizations tend to collapse as corruption within their society erodes its will to stay on top of their efforts to innovate. This collapse allows other city-states to grow into an empire. These latter civilizations would tend to be nearby, but not directly within that earlier empire's sphere of influence, especially as that early empire trended toward its collapse. However, many city-states developed into some category which could be considered an empire. Defining all of these miniature empires would be too arduous to accomplish. Thus, the goal of this video will be to focus on the largest and most influential empires for their time. Furthermore, as the number of civilizations increased, they become too numerous to map them all. The goal of this video will be to test two opposing viewpoints on the origins of human beings. One view holds that today's modern human beings evolved out of Africa and migrated outward to colonize other continents. This is the naturalist's viewpoint. The opposing view holds that today's modern human beings were on a ship that landed on Mount Ararat, near modern-day Turkey. This is the Christian viewpoint. In our test, we intend to identify the place of each origin, both the naturalist and the Christian, and place it on a map. Then, we will create a time-lapse map of the world showing where these important early civilizations were established. This will allow the viewer the opportunity to see which viewpoint on the origins of human beings carries the most weight. The number of years will be every 500 years. Please note that many civilizations arose before this 500-year point in time, but they won't appear on the map until the clock reaches that 500-year mark. Furthermore, only the capital territory of the empire will be mapped. There will be no attempt to categorize the extent of their influence, primarily because that sphere of influence would wax and wane too much over these 500-year points in time. Secularists hold that the earliest civilization arose approximately 6,000 years ago, or 4000 BC. Thus, the time-lapse map will start with that point. Naturalists postulate that humans originated in southern Africa, near where it appears on the map. Contrarily, Christians believe that humans originated on Mount Ararat in the Middle East after the worldwide flood landed the Ark on the mountain. Naturally, we are not attempting to identify the actual origin of humanity in the Bible, which was in the Garden of Eden. This place would be wiped out in the flood, and any cities that were established would, likewise, be wiped from the earth. The first civilization arose in Mesopotamia, within the area of today's country of Iraq. This civilization is also known as the Sumerian Empire. Please note the proximity of this civilization to Mount Ararat. There was not much change in 3500 BC. The next civilization arose in Egypt. This civilization was known as the early dynastic period. Again, please keep in mind that many hold that Egypt arose prior to 3000 BC, but our time-lapse map only covers the 500-year point. Note that Egypt is not too far displaced from Mount Ararat. The next civilization arose in today's India. This civilization was known as the Harappan civilization. Note that this civilization is not too far displaced from the earlier Mesopotamian civilization. An attempt was made to show where human population densities were highest, but not quite a full-fledged empire as per the test criteria. These high-density population areas will appear as a golden color on the map. After the Harappan civilization was established, the next two civilizations spread out further. One appeared to the north and is known as the ancient China Empire. The other one developed to the north of Egypt in the Mediterranean Sea. This was the Minoan civilization. Its sphere of influence was commerce via shipping. Note that one thing that all of these civilizations have in common is the proximity to Mount Ararat and were far away from southern Africa. In 1500 BC, there were no major civilizations. However, there were numerous high-density populations areas. As mentioned before, these are highlighted in a golden color. In 1000 BC, the Hittite Empire arose in the territory of modern-day Turkey. It contended with both the Egyptian Empire to the south and the Babylonian Empire to the east. The Babylonian Empire arose from the older Mesopotamian Empire. Just after 500 BC, Alexander the Great established the short-lived ancient Greek Empire. It fell apart shortly after his death, but it left such a lasting impact on modern society that it was granted a place on the map in 500 BC, even though it did not arise for another 30 years or so. Of interest is the establishment of the Mayan civilization in the southern portion of the North American continent. Some people may consider this Central America. The question that arises is, why did civilizations arise in the American continents before they arose in southern Africa? How did they cross the Atlantic Ocean before the earliest civilizations in southern Africa arose? There is not a 0 year in the Gregorian calendar, so the time-lapse map is displaying AD 1 instead. The Roman Empire arose at this time to control most of the recognized world of that time. Also note that the Mayan civilization was still in existence. In AD 500, both the Roman Empire and the Mayan civilization were still in existence. However, both of these civilizations were in their declining years. In AD 1000, the Inca civilization arose in South America. The Roman Empire had fallen apart and split into many competing civilizations. All of these civilizations incorporated many of the views, like laws and the calendar, of the Roman Empire. So in many ways, the Roman Empire continued its existence, but through competing civilizations. In AD 1500, the first civilizations arose in southern Africa. There were 3 of them, with 2 of them overlapping. The first was the Great Zimbabwe civilization. The next 2 were competing civilizations, pretty much occupying the same territory. These were the Mali Empire and the Songhai Empire. The obvious question that arises after watching this time-lapse view of world history is, why did the earliest civilizations arise near Mount Ararat and were last to arrive at the alleged cradle of human origins, following the naturalists' worldview? The earliest of civilizations arose near Mount Ararat and spread out from there. Thus, the empirical evidence fits the biblical narrative. The last of the great civilizations to arise were in southern Africa, closest to the naturalists' view on the origins of humanity. In conclusion, the empirical evidence does not fit the naturalists' narrative.